guys. I'm really excited to be here today. And as Tiffany mentioned, I work with Kroger. So I come to you from Cincinnati, Ohio. And for those of you not familiar with Cincinnati, Ohio, you wouldn't know that it's a retail mecca with several Fortune 100 companies calling it home. And my company, 8451, sits at the center of data science and customer experience. We work on behalf of Kroger, one of the world's largest grocery retailers. And today, I'm going to talk a little bit about data science and customer experience. And those two words have to be two of the buzziest concepts in any industry today. And beyond being buzzy, these two concepts are very misunderstood. The words behind me simply mean using all the information we have to improve the lives of our customers. And that sounds really simple, right? Well, definitely not. It's not simple at all. And today, I'm going to talk about some of the concepts that help increase the odds of using data to improve company performance. But I'm not going to talk about algorithms, I'm not going to talk about coding languages, and I'm not going to talk about tech. Honestly, in many cases, those are the easier things to get right. But what I'm going to talk about today are the cultural and organizational components that increase the odds of success. So, what exactly is data science? It's certainly something that everybody's talking about, and many people are claiming to do it. And more importantly, almost everybody is hiring for it. In fact, once again, Glassdoor has deemed the data scientist the best job of 2018. And Forbes says that since 2012, data science jobs have grown by 650%. The field of data science is incredibly wide, and the jobs are really varied. So think of data science as the umbrella term under which many roles fit. A data scientist gathers information from a wide variety of sources, provides a bunch of different techniques, and extracts critical information based on the collected data. When it's done well, a data scientist really understands the business problem and is able to then improve and power critical decisions and processes. So data science has gone mainstream, and these days it's not just about academics or tech or Fortune 100 companies that are interested in data science. Just about anybody and everybody wants to understand how data science can impact their jobs, their lives, and the world. Since 2012, we've seen that the unprecedented job growth has also been accompanied by just interest. Certain advances in things like personal technology have led to such an interest from everybody in the world. So things like e-commerce, personal assistants like Alexa and Siri, and the digitization of pretty much everything has put data science front and center. And then there's this guy. Does anybody seen this guy before? I don't know about you, but in Cincinnati, Ohio, we see this guy pretty much every other commercial. Heavy rotation from Microsoft talking about why data science is going to improve our world. And then as I was putting together the final touches on this presentation about 2 weeks ago, my 71-year-old mother was sitting in my kitchen, and she was asking me about what my talk was, and I said something around data science and customer experience, and I thought that would be the last question. And she said, "Oh, like the bald guy from the commercials." And I said, "Actually, yes, you're exactly right." So even boomers are getting in on data science. So who's doing it well? Of course, Amazon is doing it well. They use concepts like machine learning and AI to power everything from product recommendations to marketing optimization to streamlining logistics. How else can you get a garden hose from this ballroom to your house in Cincinnati in the same day? It's because they're using these deep concepts. The US government is using concepts like this. They employ data science all the time. Security agencies use things like natural language processing to keep us safe and secure. And certainly the US and North America don't have the market cornered on data science. Companies like Alibaba were born using data science, and it empowers every decision that they make. So this must mean that everyone's doing it, right? And everybody's doing it well, right? Absolutely not. So in fact, most studies show that 50% of data science initiatives either fail or fail to reach their full potential. And there's more data than has ever existed before. And I'm not going to bore you with the statistics that talk about how much data exists today or how much is being created every day. But standing here in front of you, I'm creating data. And those of you in the audience on your phones, no judgment, you're creating trackable data as well. And so it must be not a data problem, right? Countless C-level executives will say things like, one of our greatest assets is our data. So if it's not a data problem, what is causing this failure rate? So my position is that just having lots of data is not an asset. In fact, it is a liability. While it's getting cheaper and it's getting easier, the amount of data that we have to manage is cumbersome and expensive. And most importantly, when people give you permission to collect their data, their expectation is they're doing something wonderful with it. The asset is not the data. The asset is knowing what to do with the data. And most companies haven't moved from having data to having it work harder for them. The ones that are successful don't view data science as just a technical practice. Those that win view it as an organizational capability that is nurtured in all parts of their culture. And Tiffany is right. I am going to tell you like it is. And I've learned 8 important concepts in my 2 decades of helping retailers make sense of data, and today I'm going to share those things with you. The first one, and Toby talked about this, pretty much everyone has talked about this today. It is a talent war, but it's not the one you think. So you're right. The war for the best and brightest talent is hot and heavy. Firms are competing for candidates with the skills that they need to improve their departments. 83% of organizations are struggling to meet the data science skills and requirements that they need. Skilled employees are in such short supply that aggressive action is required. But hiring data scientists and data science engineers alone will not make you successful. I'm calling this the other 75%. The other 75% of employees in a company that have little or no exposure to data science is where people need to focus. The reason is this is the group of people that spend all day, every day, dealing with the problems that machine learning and AI can really solve. So without basic understanding of these techniques, they can't be allies in improving the problems your organization is facing. The chairman of Nokia has very wisely said that every person, every employee of Nokia should have a basic understanding of machine learning, and that's a really smart move. Speaking the same language gets the organization on the same page and helps demystify the role of data science in the organization. Next, actually plan to fail. Most organizations have very low tolerances for fail, and I totally get it. Failing does not feel good, and most senior executives have a really, really, really hard time accepting failure. And when you know what you're doing, when something's old hat, when you've done it 1,000 times, failing can be avoided. But when you are doing something new, failing is a total certainty. And let me be clear, this entire industry doesn't know what it's doing yet. So failure shouldn't just be tolerated, it has to be encouraged. At this stage in the game, a company that isn't actively failing is not doing it right, or they're not doing enough. The companies that are improving are doing 2 really important things. First of all, they're failing and pivoting quickly. And second, they're not talking about failing, they're talking about learning. Next, first mover advantage beats IP all day. So when I started in this industry many moons ago, it was all about intellectual property, having the best algorithm. Those days are gone. First of all, we don't need one killer algorithm, we need a whole arsenal of techniques. It's more and more companies are moving towards open source, and the whole point is that we build and learn from each other. So what's the competitive advantage now? The edge becomes the willingness to move first, or the willingness to be bold. Research has shown that significant early investment in data science can raise the pace at which operating profits improve. And this goes hand in hand with the last concept around willing to fail. Those who start earlier feel less pressure to get it right. That early adoption allows companies to learn how to best integrate data science into their workflows. Therefore, they learn faster, and they get analytics tools into the frontline employee hands much quicker. Next concept. Don't fall in love with your tech. So being tech-led is smart, but being successful with data science should not be relegated only to your IT teams. One of the side effects of organizations that do that is they tend to elevate technology to a status it doesn't deserve. Technology is too transient to warrant this type of protection. Data science concepts transcend specific tech. And technology can't avoid the same fate that every industry has or will face. Change comes. We've talked about that. 730 days. And it's not that people can't see change coming, It's just that it comes way faster than we think it will. 88% of the Fortune 500 companies that existed in 1955 are gone. The average lifespan of a Fortune 500 company today is 20 years. Now think about that. Think about how long you guys have been working or how long I've been working. These are not comforting thoughts. But the danger in becoming too reliant on your chosen tech is that we tend to ignore really important trends. We think, that's not going to affect us, or we just need to keep going, we just need to implement this. But what we're seeing happening in this space in real time is that things that were cutting edge are getting replaced before they were even fully understood. 3 years ago, I would be up here talking to you about Hadoop. Hadoop is now being replaced by the cloud at record pace. So how do you transcend technology? You don't make it about technology. You make it about data science concepts that will allow us to flow seamlessly as the technology changes. The next one, avoid a false sense of security. Data, and especially having a lot of data, creates a false sense of security that our answers are right. The news is littered with examples of data science gone astray. Trust me, I'm always terrified that we're going to be one of them. But as data science gets more predictive, the likelihood of making bad assumptions is certainly high. I've spent hours trying to explain to executives why we recommended a product to a customer. And as the models get more and more sophisticated, it actually gets harder to explain some of those reasons. And the spectrum is really wide. So an item prediction is really low stakes. But there are some stakes that are much, much larger. Does anyone remember this use case? So regardless of your political affiliation, I think it's safe to say that all the polling work that took place the 2 years leading up to the American political election created this false sense of security that we knew it was going to happen. Pollsters used lots of data from a variety of sources, lots of techniques, and we just assumed we knew it was going to happen. But just because at one point there was a 66% chance that Hillary Clinton would win, didn't mean that there wasn't a possibility that she wouldn't. And that didn't mean that the models were wrong. It just meant that there was a wide error range in the prediction. And this very situation plays out in business all the time. Just because we have lots of data, really smart people that are fine-tuning algorithms and models all the time doesn't mean it's 100% reliable. And that's okay. We need predictions across all parts of society, from elections to weather reports. But we have to be comfortable talking about and acknowledging the range of accuracy so that we can better manage risk. This one is my favorite. It's not all about self-driving cars. Most CEOs spend a lot of time trying to understand what happens in this space, and most of them get really excited about the big, exciting stuff. And there's lots of news segments and journal articles and press releases that follow this type of innovation. And this leads a lot of senior executives to believe that the outcomes of their sizable investments should be on the scale of self-driving cars. And not only will this lead to a lot of disappointment, it will lead to a lot of tension between leadership and the teams that are executing these programs. But worst of all, it leaves a lot of money on the table. There are innumerable valuable initiatives that are less complex, allow organizations to learn, and improve and make substantial changes to existing processes. And while it's not building the next self-driving car or a fleet of delivery drones, companies that intensively use customer data to personalize the experience and reinforce preference are much more likely to have above average performance. And this makes sense, right? So think about the company that you are most loyal to. It's highly likely that you're loyal to that company because you feel like they know you. Whether it's Apple predicting the features that you really need, or your favorite restaurant knowing what your favorite table is or your favorite dish, customers are loyal to those that acknowledge their needs. McKinsey tells us that data-driven organizations deliver impressive returns. Data-driven organizations are 23 more times likely to acquire customers, 6 times more likely to retain those customers, and 19 times more likely to be profitable as a result. And while it's not all about self-driving cars, it often is about deeply, deeply, deeply unsexy stuff. And the reason for that is having more data is not a competitive advantage over your competition. Having better data is a competitive edge. And that comes generally in 2 forms. The first is having data your competitors don't have. And the second is having better quality data. And high-quality data doesn't just happen. It is the outcome of a highly effective and disciplined data strategy. Without a very disciplined data management approach, data scientists could spend up to 80% of their time just on data prep alone. And that's a lot of time spent organizing, cleaning data, just to get it ready to use. And don't get me wrong, data management is not sexy, and it's not cheap. Even the word to describe this process is deeply unsexy. The word is munging, data munging. And while the industry is getting better tools and techniques to automate this work cannot be underestimated, and it can't be underfunded. And we've talked about this work in pretty much every talk that we've had today. The reason that we have to focus on this unsexy side of data science is that the fuel on which data science feeds is trust. Bad data is bad news. Executives are making million and billion-dollar decisions every day based on the intelligence this data is providing. But most executives tell us that they are very highly skeptical about data quality. And once an organization experiences a quality issue, they may be gun-shy or even resentful. I know that I feel betrayed and a little bit resentful after the 2016 election. I certainly trust polling a lot less than I did then. Focusing on the deeply unsexy side of data is really key to building much-needed credibility. And finally, and I think this is probably the most important concept to get right, having lots of data builds our confidence that our solutions are right or fit for purpose. And a lot of times they are. But there are times when we have to remember why we even started to solve the problem to begin with. In most cases, we were trying to solve human problems. Data science does not replace intuition. It's there to augment it. It's there to give business leaders tools to ask better questions and to be more creative. Not only can data science improve the human experience can improve data science. Successful organizations do not shy away from applying domain expertise and customer learnings. In fact, many data science blunders, and there are a lot, could have been avoided by incorporating human insights much earlier in the process. These insights make sure that our recommendations make sense and that we're applying this extensive knowledge about how humans behave in the category. So the impact of data science will be felt in every sector of our society, from medical research to battling climate change. The influence will be inescapable. In 3 years alone, the number of organizations that will implement AI will grow from 40% to 70%. But without organizational and cultural change, many to most will struggle. Those that succeed will put a degree of focus on the democratization of data science concepts broadly within their organization to more people and with more purpose.